These are grow beds that I'm using. I'm using barrels cut in half. I have 40 of them. To do 40 of these, I want them all to be real reliable. And the more you have, the more chance that they're going to be failing. I did the first 4 with 4 different methods of bell siphons, and when I came across one that I thought was the most reliable, I constructed every one to be exactly the same. That is, other than the first 4. Then they seem to all be functioning fine, but in 3 months' time, a bunch of them started failing, and they were all exactly the same. So before I had all the beds up and running, I had all the bell siphons working, I had to dismantle everything, and you can see here I have them all taken apart, and now they have to be rebuilt. So I went back to my mentoring on YouTube, and there weren't a lot of different sources, and there weren't any specifications how to do them. So I took a little bit of everything and came up with a system that seems to be working pretty well. So I'll demonstrate what I'm doing next. Here's the standpipe bell with the air cup. What I found is that air cup doesn't need to have to float. It doesn't have to go up and down. When the water finally gets sucked through this air vent, the water level is already below the top of this cup. So if that wasn't the case, you would need to have it enabled to be floating. Okay, so look at the height difference right here. This has to be cut down. The air vent is too small. It gets clogged with slime, so we're going to oversize that, cut it down, and cut new vents at the bottom. And there's an easy method of doing that. I have to do modification to the bell, so disassemble. Different size air tube. Clean that off. Now cut it to length. Because this is sitting crooked on the chop saw, put a spacer here, same diameter. And this is something new. It's duct tape that has ruler markings. Worked out real slick. Okay, 7.5 inches. And for the vents, I make 3 cuts. Gotta have a stop. 3 cuts. Now this is what makes it really easy. Instead of playing with the saw, just nip this with the tubing cutter. It's a lot safer than standing it up on the table saw. There you have it. Now I need to place the air vent tube in and it's good to go. The air tube that I'm using, it's a vinyl, and it's 3/8 inch outside diameter, approximately 1/4 inch or slightly under inside diameter. Now what I'm going to do is cut a slight bevel, or an extreme bevel, on the end. And what that is for is on the inside of this, it'll allow clearance for that bell to slide and not hang up. And the length is approximately, not rocket science, right there. I keep the length about a 1/2 inch above the top of the vent. That seems to make the air vent draw a little better, and it makes the break with the air vent rather than sucking air at the bottom, which doesn't allow this to draw the air, and that has a tendency to lock up on the bottom cycle of the flood drain cycle. Now to put this in, I use I try to use silicone. This is a outdoor adhesive, so it's made for the weather, and it dries quicker since I'm always in a hurry. A little bit on there. Try to touch all the points on the hole. Slide it in. Right there is the location. This has to make an air seal. And now zip tie it in place. That'll hold it until it dries. Then a second zip tie at the bottom. This will help hold the cup. Now that's set to go. I have a second one to do. Actually, I have 40 total to do. The used zip ties, they're not throwaway. They're too small to get on there. So what I do is take two, remove that end piece, and splice them together so the two is making one longer one. So I'm not wasting the old zip ties. There's two finished bells, and here's a candy dispenser, repurposed, and it fits perfect as a cup. Now these are hard to come by because I don't eat candy, so gotta find something else. This is the bell siphon that's being modified. and I have to get that other standpipe out. This is my method. The 3-inch drains or guards, 3-inch guards, will be changed out after I'm done growing in this bed. And here is one of the new standpipes. Notice the difference. This is the water height difference just because of that U-trap that's installed underneath. And the pressure from the bell actually makes this one afloat. That's why it has to be weighted down. That pressure will push that water out of the trap and burp the system and cause a pretty positive siphon to start. Now to get this down in there, since I don't have long skinny fingers, got it, make it tight. The standpipe is off center, and that allows space for the little cup. Now all I need to do for this one is set the flow rate. Right about there. And then I'll keep a check on it and see if that one's fine. This is the drain that has to be changed in 40 of the grow beds. And they're all going to vary in length because they were drilled at random, but they're all close. So I pulled this one out. This one has to be matched. So first thing I have to do is make a U-trap. This is 1/2 inch that I'm working with. You don't want water or air to be leaking out of the trap, so this is about the only joints that I glue together. When you use the glue, when you insert this, you should give it about a 90-degree turn, and the reason for that is a lot of times there's like a springing effect that the plastic will push itself apart. It wants to return where it came from. So if you go in and turn, if it wants to do that pushing effect, it'll turn instead of push out. Okay, when I glue one side, I want this to be as tight as possible. So I just estimate where it's going to go into the next joint. Glue that together. Insert it at 90 degrees and then rotate it. Make sure it's level. Now we need one this way. Same method. Rotation, trim it to length. These are all scrap pieces because I'm tearing 40 grow beds apart. That was smart. Insert the glue on one side and squirt the other side in the joint. That'll probably lock the other piece together. Okay, now we need the vertical piece. We're going this way. Make sure I'm still in the screen here. That might help. Right here. Need the standpipe this way. And it'll have to be longer. It'll have to extend about that far. So, an old siphon, old standpipe. And I'm going to guess the length. It's usually about the end of this joint. Okay, this is going here. Now you see with the U shape, it's going to make this other end stand taller. So, a piece we can use. Another elbow. We need this length. And I can feel the glue in that one. That'll be locked in. Okay. Now we need another vertical pipe. This pipe goes into the drain system and it can plunge deeper inside. That's it. Same length. Now we go and install it. Here's the U-trap, and I'm not gluing this in. What I'm going to do is use Teflon adhesive. This is what is applied to pipes and even water pipes. So it should be safe, food safe. Okay, one end drops into the drain, the other end inserts into the grow bed. Now we need to change the bell out. Here's the second one being changed out. The old standpipe, or the old bell. And here is the standpipe. Right now the water is flooding into the trap. We need water in there anyway, so that it'll operate properly. Now try to hit that hole again. Push it down tight. That's locked in. And insert the new bell. Oh, we don't have a cup. Cup, then insertion. Okay, that's it. Okay, there's no more empty mini M&M containers to make cups, so I put this together, and I think this I'll do most of them. It's a piece of vinyl hose with a dowel rod plugged in the end. It's a tight fit because it had a stretch to go on. When you cut this, you can't use your chop saw. That's a little too dangerous. I use a bandsaw to make that cut. Okay, now this should go on. Adjust the zip tie so that it'll hold it right there. That should be fine. Put it together. The only other thing I may have to do is weight it down if it floats. That feels like it may not, because I felt a resistance dragging in from the standpipe being so close to the media guard. We'll turn the water on and see if this one is functioning okay. As you can see, these grow beds, I have 40 of them, and the water requirement out of each one has a lot of work to do for the pump. The flow rate, I need to have it cut down as much as I can, but the further you cut the flow rate down, the more likely it is that it will have trouble starting the siphon. So an alternative thing to cut down the flow rate. You can see right here with the Dixie cups. I use those as mosquito guards. I don't know if mosquitoes are going to want to live in there or not, but it also keeps stones out of there. You see right here, these four, I built these units, 4 in a bunk. Right here there's one inlet. These next 3 are shut off. These are all operating. They're the slave to this one mother one. This one has the new bell siphon in it, and it works very nice. You hear a nice strong gurgle when it breaks its siphon. Okay, now what I did, this is where the original bell siphon was. You can see down in there the drain hole. Now this is a refit, so I didn't change pipe sizing. The drain here is a 1/2 inch. It should be oversized, it should be larger, but this is connected under here with T's to the other 3 tanks, so all 4 are connected together. And on the mother bed here, you can see I have a second drain. That's the trap feeding into the drain pipe. And there's the hole that's not being used from those. And what happens is these 4 grow beds are tied together and gravity fed. Now, a problem with me putting this one on the end is the 4th one, the water height is going to be always higher when it empties than the first one. Originally my plan was just trying this with 2, but 4 allows me to have a flow rate about 1/4. I mean, I have that flow rate set at these others, and it will cut down the water intake. That would have cut a lot of expense too, because each of these valves are expensive. It works fine, and the end bank, the end bed, the water height when it's empty is about this high. Most of them are this height. That's usable. That'll work. So I'm happy with this. If I do this modification with the rest of the beds, I'm going to place the intake in one of the middle ones as the master unit, and I'll change the drains out to a larger diameter, so it'll keep the levels about even between all of the beds. Thanks for watching, my friends. Bye-bye.